Hey guys, James here for 5-Star-Rating-22. Alright, here is the third part of the second weekly challenge. Hope you guys are enjoying it. Hope you guys are checking out Terrain Noob's videos as well. Remember, this is competition, so having a lot of fun. Hope you guys are enjoying this. So here's some more of the build. Alright, so you can see I got the fence all put on. That was kind of meticulous. And then what I did there is I measured the distance in between my two main columns for the entranceway. And then I'm using just regular old fluoro wire, as you can see there, and just bending that to or finding the I measured the length, so I got it to a little bit more than length, and then I'm bending it just into like a half circle, and I bended two of them different sizes, but try to keep the width the same the whole way. So try to add a nice thing. And then I took Elmer's glue and just put that towards on the bottom parts where it connected to the columns, just to help give it some stability. Alright, and then I just took some plastic card, just some regular old plastic card. I didn't use that stuff, some of that stuff's like laminated. Be careful if it's like laminated, it'll have like a thin layer of plastic on it. So then I just drew out some letters, making sure to have them, a little bit higher or taller than the distance in between my two wires. So I used my handy new blade and cut out the lettering. And then I took in, just to make sure that they did measure out, I took in, just made sure that it was going to work all the way across. And then I took tape just to get the distance, so I had the distance, similarly close. I just took masking tape and taped them on, and then, just took them off. And I'm using, again, Elmer's rubber cement. Stuff works really good for little things like this, just to get it first tacked on. And then I just put some on the top, some on the bottom, and stuck it on. Rubber cement's really good because it's nice and tacky. So you can see there I got them all put on. And then I also took, for the crosses, all I did was cut a little slit in the foam, and jammed those down in a little ways. Kind of did them like kind of crooked and lopsided because, probably been sitting for a while and whatnot. Energy drink, gotta stay energized. You know. So, oh, and then my soap tombstones, I took and laid those out kind of where I wanted them, all, kind of got them where I wanted them. Then all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the hot glue here and stick those down. So I just did that, sticking them down one at a time. Not very much hot glue. It doesn't take very much. They seem to hold pretty well with the hot glue, so just a little bit. Pressed them down and they're good to go. That didn't take too long to stick them down. So, alright, now, for my mausoleum, didn't have a lot of time to think to put into it to decide how I wanted to, or what I wanted to use to build it, so I ended up using a piece that I had left over from last week's challenge. It's just 1 inch thick polyester, or foam. Hey guys, alright, so, yep, that's just that 1 inch foam, and I had that left over from last week's challenge, so I figured I might as well use that, and then, well, plus I didn't really put a whole bunch of planning into the rest of it, so. Alright guys, and then I just took my hot wire cutter and I cut it out to, I'd say it's like 4 to 5 inches tall, and then it ended up being about 6 inches long. Yeah, something like that. And then I took sandpaper, and smoothed it out. Plus, you want a sandpaper for the sealer that I'm going to show you later. You pretty much want to sandpaper any of like the edges, those hard edges, when you first buy it, like the top and the bottom. It's got that kind of like plasticky, hard top edge. You want to sand that off. It'll help later on. And then I just took my compass and then, cut out a rooftop shape, and then sanded, or hot wire cut that down, and then sanded it down nice and flat. And then I'm just taking my micron pen here and drawing out the rough shape of a door. Not really doing any measuring or anything, just kind of freehanding this, save on time. And then I'm using those nice like flat razors, the ones that janitors use, and they're like for scraping up like gum and stuff off the floor. You can get them at like hardware shops and stuff like that, big old box of them. So, and one of them will last you forever. So I used that just to kind of chunk out the shape that I had drawn out of the door, and then sandpaper and files to just sand it down and get it nice and flat, and then to give it kind of an inner, kind of lip it in to make it look like it was a door, and get everything nice and even. I know you can see kind of the gap from where the pieces of foam were put together, but that's okay because I'm going to turn it into a wood door, so I didn't worry about it a whole bunch. And then most of the time, like a little gap like that, even paint will kind of fill that in. So, excuse me. So then you can see I just drew out lines and then used my triangular file to just file them down a bit and give them differential or difference between wood planks. And then here on the side of the building, I wanted to add like kind of like an overhang that you see on some like buildings. So what I did was just kind of took my ruler to get a nice straight across, and then I drew out like circles like that, as you can see in there. And then I just, just rough shape, and then again using my flat razor blade here just to chunk it out again. And I used that, and I chunked it out down to probably about 1/8 of an inch. Oh yeah, and the door was probably about 1/4 of an inch. That was probably dug into about 1/4 of an inch, and this here is I dug down to probably somewhere between 1/8 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch. Not as deep as the door. So, and then I just used the file, got it nice and chunked out, and I used it the same. I used my flat, or not my file, my flat razor blade to chunk out the circles or the top parts as well. Just a little bit at a time. Don't have to get it perfect, because then again I used files and sandpaper to get it nice and even and nice and soft edge and stuff, so it didn't look all chunked out. And I used just nice 220 soft grain or fine grain sandpaper. Stuff works pretty good. You can get your foam pretty nice and smooth. You don't want to use a real coarse grain, because it'll kind of chunk it, you know what I mean? So you can see there kind of the effect that I went for. Turned out pretty nice, Didn't have a lot of time to do it, so it was kind of rushed, but turned out alright. So now I'm going to show you how to make a tree. 26 gauge, 270 foot floral wire. It's about $3 for a whole roll of it. Pretty cheap. And what I'm doing here is just taking my metal snips, and I'm just cutting out lengths between somewhere between 6 and 8 inches, They don't have to all be the same length. You don't really want them to be, different lengths. So, and then I probably cut around 20, but kind of depends how thick you want your tree to be. So, and then once I got them that, I wanted to make sure that all the bottom ends, where the trunk's going to be, those were all kind of together and even. And once I thought I had those, I just take and twist it up until I got about the length of the trunk that I wanted on my tree. So, and then once you got that, you see the bottom's all pretty nice and twisted together, and then the top half's frayed. And then I'm just gonna grab like between like 5 and 6 of the wires here, and then just take them out and twist them up. Take 2 of them, twist them up, and those are gonna be my bottom branches. So I did those, and then twisted the top trunk a little bit to set those in place. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take some longer lengths of wire and add some width to my tree trunk, and I'm gonna take it starting right at the top by the 2 bottom branches, and then just wrapping down and around, and then once I get down towards the bottom, just really concentrating the wire into that area, trying to give it the shape of a tree trunk. Most of the time it's a lot wider at the bottom, and I did this in 3 things, and trying to go opposite ways, but I keep it pretty spread out towards the top, and then have most of the wire wrapped down at the bottom. Helps add a little bit more width to the bottom of the trunk, so because most of the time trees are like that. It's thicker at the bottom. So you can see there. Now I didn't go all the way down to the bottom because I want to leave some on the bottom. And you see here I pull it out. And this is kind of like, kind of like a root effect. But also it's going to give you something to set it on when you're adding the wood effect to it. So I just took out 3 prongs and kind of gave them a, separate those out. And then I took a piece of wire just to have a nice transition from those roots to the regular trunk, just to, kind of make it even thickness there, so there wasn't like thin, you know what I mean? So I did that, and just kind of evened it up. So now what I'm going to do is same thing I did for the bottom 2 branches. I'm just going to grab strands, less and less as I go up the tree. Just take them out, twist them together, and then sometimes, separating them out, and most of the time, take them then and separate them out at the end, so you have nice thin ones. The width of the wire is about perfect for the size of a twig, so that 26 or 27 gauge, it was 26, it looks about the width of a twig, so right at the ends there. So you can see there, kind of get it to the shape you want it. Don't worry about it too much. It's supposed to be kind of chaotic and messed up looking, gnarly. Chaos trees. I used to make chaos trees out of use hot glue and wires like that. It's pretty cool. It makes a really gnarly looking tree. Then I'm taking my hot glue gun here, and oh, this is like hard pressed cardboard. I mean, it's like, it's that really like hard stock cardboard. I don't know where I got it, but I've saved it, and it's great for stuff like this. So what I did is just cut out the roofs, kind of keep them the same length. I'm not worried about getting them like nice and matching up on the top part so much, because I'm gonna have tile or something, I put on there. Actually, well, I already know what I have put on there. I put on shingles on there. So, but then I just took it, pressed up, and then I left about 1/4 of an inch overhang around the whole building as well. Alright, so now we're going to make the goop mixture. So, make sure you got your branches to about where you want them. You'll have some play with the stuff we mix up, but you want a piece of foam to jam it in, especially for when you go to let it dry. And then I put a paper plate around it too, just because it can make a mess. Then I used burnt umber for my color. Latex glove, because it gets kind of messy. Some water, plaster of Paris, and then some silicone or acrylic caulking. Just cheap stuff. You can use any brand, really, They come in different colors and stuff, but as long as it's acrylic paintable silicone caulking, you're good to go. And then a long bristled brush, and then I like a container to contain it. You can see there's kind of consistency of like chocolate mousse, like pie filling type stuff. What you do is you take your silicone, your paint, and you mix that up real good. You want quite a bit of silicone. You want it mainly silicone based, probably like 80% silicone, 15% paint, 5% water. Alright, so then you want to mix it up to mix up the caulk, the paint and the water first, and then just add your add the plaster of Paris until you get that consistency I was talking about. It almost looks like it's like sandy, or like it's got like it's hard to explain. You'll understand. Like, you want to be able to, so when you put it on, it'll cover up the wire pretty much first application, but it's thin enough that it's gonna drip. It's gonna drip. It's about as thick as, like I said before, like a chocolate mousse, like a pie filling, somewhere in there, that kind of consistency. Just practice with it, and you want to just slop it on. Don't worry about being all neat with it and stuff. Just slop it on, and if you have like some extra globs here and there, that's okay. It looks like knots in the wood or something like that. It's not, and I ended up doing, on this one I did 2 coats, but you want to do somewhere between 2 and 3 coats. That's kind of to your preference. But with the first coat, all the small branches and like smaller ones should be nice, and I mean they should be good to go a first coat. And then take about an hour, 2 hours, leave it to dry in between coats, and then once after that, let it dry like overnight, or a good 6 hours, something like that, before you actually go to add the leaves and stuff that I'll show you later on. So, alright, that's it for now, guys. Alright, guys, so hope you guys are enjoying, Oh, and then make sure you get the bottom of the tree trunk as well, when you sit on the thing there, so it looks, so it dries well. So, alright, guys, well, that's it for now. Hope you guys are enjoying. I know I'm having a blast making this. Remember, go check out Terrain Noob's awesome channel. He's in this competition, too. It's me versus him, battle of the terrainaholic type. No, I can't use it, because that's Terrainaholic's channel. But you know what I mean. We're having competition. Go check out his channel. Having lots of fun. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys are enjoying. And leave comments and subscribe. Later.